Good day, fellow geeks. On this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be looking far into the distance in Legion. We're also going to be looking at the level 100 boost video, class halls, and more on this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth. By geeks.
About geeks. For geeks.
Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth! Hello, welcome to the show. My name's Tarley, and with me, we have the usual suspects. We've got Big Voodoo and Britzza. How's it going, gentlemen?
Gentlemen?
Oh, sorry. Going a little bit too polite this show.
I was going to say, that's completely unlike you.
How's it going, you jerks?
That's better. I'm very good, thanks. You?
Quite good. I'm just going to talk like this the rest of the show, I am. Alright, how are you, Big Voodoo?
I'm doing well.
Good. How's everyone's week in gaming? I can't say, how's your week in Azeroth, because, who's playing World of Warcraft right now? Let's be serious. But, Britzza, what did you do this week, as far as gaming?
Yeah, I have to admit, not a lot of WoW stuff. Again, it seems... You know how I had that theory that the more we talked about Legion, the more we'd all play WoW? I think, actually, it's the other way around. I think the more I hear about Legion, the less I kind of feel I need to play WoW. It's like when you're reaching the end of a race, really. You just kind of slow down to a nice little jog. Otherwise, it's mostly been Heroes, to be honest. I got one of the stim boosts probably about just under 2 weeks ago. So I'm just really trying to get my money's worth and smash through into ranked play. So another couple of levels and I'll be there. And that should make things a little bit more interesting. But otherwise, just sort of casually playing, trying to get a little bit of time into Fallout 4 and other games. So a bit of everything, really. A bit of a buffet of gaming, as you will.
What about you, Big Voodoo? What have you been up to?
Well, of course, StarCraft, but not as much as normal. I've been devoting myself lately to Hearthstone. I actually hit rank 11.
Rank 11. Now he's in the top 30% of players.
Top 12%.
Top 12% of players of Hearthstone.
Correction.
Big Voodoo is going to BlizzCon, everybody. He's going to BlizzCon.
He's going to win BlizzCon.
Yes.
I've decided this. And you're going to donate all the proceeds to the Britzza Society.
That's a thing.
It will be a thing by next BlizzCon. I'm going to suggest it as part of the charity do for all the bigwigs who go to that thing at BlizzCon.
Let's see, this week, myself spent just a ton of Overwatch, as always, just playing that game, and rubbing it in Big Voodoo's face that he doesn't have the game. Because he really wants the game. A ton of that. I've played a little bit of Heroes, finally got to 30, so I can do ranked play. And of course, my first 2 games I've played have been losses. Great experiences in ranked play so far. No, just a ton of Overwatch. I did play a little bit of World of Warcraft, hopped around, did a battleground, and said, oh, that was fun. Got green fire on my Warlock, and then said I was done.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's something I want to work towards, because I think, which Warlock doesn't want to go into Legion without green fire?
Right. It just looks weird without the foul fire, so had to get that done. And it's so easy if you have a level 100 Warlock. It is so easy. So
Do the icons change themselves? Or?
Yep, all the icons turn green. Yeah. The only thing is you got to get the tome, so you either go to the Isle of Thunder and spend 5 hours farming mobs to get it, or you just spend about 20k gold on the auction house and get it. So that's what I did.
Pay to win.
Yes.
Always works.
All right, well, it's time we jump right into the first segment of the show. It's time for News of the Week. Where's the sounder? There it is.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the Week. That's right. Time for News of the Week. And we, of course, with the Legion Alpha being fully underway, there is things being data mined every single day. And the first thing that we're looking at, it's actually kind of minor. People haven't really even noticed that it's happening, but the view distance in Legion has been cranked up. That's what I meant in the intro by saying we'll be viewing far into the distance in Legion. it's actually quite a difference. And I'll just pull it up here on the screen for you. This article from Polygon actually does a really cool way of showing you the current version and what it would look like in Legion. So as I scroll over here, you can see what you can see now up in the air. You can hardly see anything, just a lot of fog. Azeroth is a very foggy land, but in Legion, you can see entire zones without really moving. It's quite impressive, actually. From this view of Grizzly Hills, you can see Ulduar far off in the distance. Here in the Dragon Blight, you can see Dalaran and Ulduar and Icecrown Citadel. It's different. What do you guys think?
I think one of the weirdest things in the first image, I think that's Badlands, and going into this is I can't remember the thing that's east of Dunmorrow. It looks like if you look at what was I saying? Alderman? Was that the dungeon? It looks like they're actually changing the appearance of, because you can notice like two of the towers disappear when you slide across it.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're at least having another sort of go at some of the building textures, or at least just, you know, playing about with them. Maybe not updating them, but that's pretty cool, because they've only really talked about the fact that they want to sort of extend how far we can see, but at the same time they probably have to also, you know, make sure that what we're looking at from 3 times as far also looks good. So fingers crossed they have a bit more on that in the future.
What do you think of it, Voodoo? Is this a mind-blowing change?
I don't know if it's really mind-blowing, but I'm really happy about it. Like, view distance is the only thing graphically I've always kept at max. Like, if my computer can't handle graphics, I'll tone them down, sure. But view distance has to stay at max for me. I don't know why, but it just feels important.
Yes, you have to be able to see, like, if Deathwing decides to come back, you have to be able to see him from very far away. So I think this is a very good change. This keeps us prepared for any distant threats looming.
It's a tactical update.
OQPO in the chat says this could be more demanding for some PCs, but possibly, but from what I understand in interviews with Blizzard, they're actually doing it in a way that it won't impact than it already does now. I mean, World of Warcraft isn't a graphically demanding game to begin with, so this could be a very simple transition.
Fellow Mac users like me would
stick
with the basic.
Yes.
I think that's the way they described it, was that this is an added feature. If your PC couldn't run this, it's not going to be a case of, you know, it's going to catch fire. It's just a case you won't have the option to tap into this. So it won't affect your performance otherwise.
Or it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. But one thing I've noticed with the Icecrown Citadel picture, and that you realise how blooming close Dalaran is to Icecrown Citadel, and it's just hit me that this update is going to completely change. You know, looking at that picture, I'm not really explaining it so well. Looking at that picture, you realise just how close this conflict is. You know, Dalaran is literally at the steps of Icecrown Citadel. You couldn't have realised that, really, or perceived that
back in the day when it was current.
Before this update. With this update, you actually see it for what it is, and it makes me wonder just how much more incredible those expansions would have been if this had been there, if that makes sense. I know it's hindsight, but it brings like a new sort of life into the old expansions in some ways. And I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
You know, if you're seeing more, you might, you know, if you want to do another alt from level 1, maybe this might be something that helps sort of get you through it. Just seeing the world in a different light.
My personal opinion is Dalaran should no longer be there, but
now we're in the awkward discussion of like how do players play through Burning Crusade when they know Illidan's fighting off in the
right. Well, they don't. Everybody gets a level 100 boost. Nobody plays through Burning Crusade anymore.
Maybe they'll just use it as like a developer ground where they'll just start putting random things into the old expansion zones, so because no one goes there, so they won't even know they're being used to hold like the old I can't even remember the old instances and dungeons.
That would be pretty interesting and hilarious.
Awful as well.
Yeah. So next bit of news, there's a new level 100 boost video, just like there was a level 90 boost video, and we can check that out right now. Hopefully we won't get some kind of copyright strike on the YouTube video, but here we go. Worth the risk.
System resetting. Don't turn the power off or the whole thing will probably explode.
All right, and we'll leave it at that. You can definitely check out the full video on worldofwarcraft.com or on their YouTube page. As you can see, that goblin's going to want to compete with that gnome who's getting a level 90 boost. You'll have to see how exactly he does that, but it's definitely a cool video. Do you think this will help drive people to buy a level 100 boost now that that is available separately, not just in the Legion pre-order? I can tell you I already bought one.
I think it's, and again, without sounding too harsh, I think there's an added attraction that because by getting the level 100 boost, you get to skip Warlords.
Right.
So you don't have to do that for a 7th, 8th, or 9th time.
Right. I mean,
although saying that, you're skipping out the best thing of Warlords, so swings and roundabouts.
I just didn't necessarily want to level my Warlock, and I really wanted to play my Warlock. My Warlock was level 90. I said, $60 for 10 levels? Absolutely.
That's terrible math.
I
found it
about.
Yeah, go on.
Presumably, if you had this is like just a random question, but if you had a Demon Hunter, do you think you could use the boost, say, to get your professions up to max, but would it allow you to skip the intro, do you think?
I don't think so, because Death Knights have to play through the intro first before you can boost them?
Well, and with the level 90 boost, there was the thing that taught you how to play your class, and then you went onward, but there is no such thing, at least right now, with the level 100 boost. There's no
So
intro.
what happens when you boost the Death Knight?
I don't know, I haven't boosted one.
Maybe the game just explodes.
Listeners, if any of you have boosted a level 100 Death Knight, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, let us know. We'd like to know what actually happens there. Though they said it is planned once 7.0 drops that there will be intros for every 100 boosted class. So.
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, considering how big the class overhauls are, it would be kind of a waste to give you an intro now.
Yeah, right. Because everything's going to change
Yeah.
very quickly. Well, not very quickly. We have months until things change. So everybody prepare yourself for now.
Yeah.
But it's going to change all at once.
It's going to be a sort of tug the rug from under you sort of change.
Well, have either of you either pre-purchased Legion or just gotten a boost yet?
Go on, Voodoo, you go first.
No, I haven't. I can't bring myself to spend money on it.
Yeah.
Every time I look at the level 100 boost, I'm like, that's $60 that I could spend on something
Hearthstone
else.
decks.
Like Hearthstone cards, exactly.
Lots and lots of Hearthstone. You'd be surprised to know that I'm exactly the same. Not spending it on Hearthstone, but I think there are other things I want to spend my money on. And these last couple of months and going forward are just crazy for games.
Yeah.
Right now. I haven't got the time or money to spend it on a game that I won't see for, 6 months.
At the very least.
At the very least. But saying that, do you think the pre-purchase level 100 boost in itself is enough to get players to pre-order?
I pre-ordered at BlizzCon, so, I mean, yeah, it was for me.
Because of the level 100 boost?
Yeah.
Or was it just, I just want to put my money forward for Legion now?
It was the boost plus the in-game bonuses, as always,
Because I'd be interested to know how well that's done. How many level 100 boosts have there been? I don't know if they'll announce that, but it would be interesting to see how many people perhaps bought it because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Blizzard's not sharing their metrics anymore, so we'll never know.
Oh, well.
All right, so
I do want one.
moving on to an interesting thing that got leaked onto Reddit. It is all of the class halls are now officially revealed. So we can kind of go through those one by one. Each one of us, I guess, can discuss which one is our favorite. Of course, unfortunately, my least favorite one is my main class's order hall, that being the Death Knight, and it is unfortunately exactly what I thought it would be. Here's a quick video. It is, of course, the Flying Necropolis from the Death Knight intro zone, and it is floating right next to Dalaran. But there's nothing changed from basically what Death Knights have now. It's a bit interesting. Big Voodoo, do you want to go over your main class hall?
I guess. So I'm running into the same problem as you. Like, I main a Warlock, and the Warlock class hall just is not terribly exciting. Like, it's a demon world. It looks identical to, what is that place?
Mardoon.
Top right of Outland.
Oh, top.
Netherstorm?
Netherstorm?
Yeah, except green instead of purple. Like, that's the difference.
It's Netherstorm with its own green fire.
Yeah.
I guess my complaint about this Warlock one would be it looks almost identical to the Demon Hunters class hall as well. They are very, very similar in aesthetics and things like that. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It looks cool, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Voodoo. What about you, Britzza? Your main class is class hall.
Yeah, I was just looking through the comments of the mage one. It's weird because I can't see where exactly it is. It's kind of a the video itself, and obviously the links will be in the notes for anyone who wants to follow. It's sort of like a flying sort of sanctuary style. I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. I presume this is on this must be attached to the Dalaran. Otherwise, it's a huge
It is
waste.
in Dalaran. Yes,
That's good. Right. Okay. So, it does exactly what I think it would do. It's just very dark. There's not a lot of lighting, which is one of the things that mages are specifically particular about.
Well, maybe in this expansion, mages are feeling very dark, and they're just needing to go read their tomes in the dark corners of their class hall.
Like teenagers and things like that. Yeah, no,
it is
I
very
see
dark,
that.
though. Very dark.
And there's nowhere near enough mage tables. I thought there'd be a feast on every floor.
I would expect to see portals everywhere as well, but not seeing.
If we don't get them as like preset, that would be so annoying. Because it'd be so annoying to be in your class order and have to cast a portal.
Oh,
You should have the
God,
option to
you'd
just
have
go to all of them.
You'd have to cast. Oh,
That is seven-
it would just be so. Oh, having to.
That is a
can't
few
even.
seconds of my time that
I
I
can't
could
even.
be, legioning.
This is very weird because I don't even play this class, but in my opinion, I think the best one is the warrior class hall. It just seems to really fit the aesthetic of a warrior. I'll pull this up here. It's very it makes warriors like gods. They're kind of in Valhalla. They've got the whole Vicryl theme going on, and they have a feasting hall. It reminds me of Skyrim, at the end of Skyrim, that place you go to where all the Nordish people are eating their feast. Sorry if you haven't finished Skyrim by now, spoilers. But you can see here they get this big feasting hall. I mean, I think it just looks really cool. I really like the aesthetic. And they get an arena where they can duel each other or NPCs. I mean, we have a lot more to see, of course, what's going to be in these class halls. We kind of just have the visuals right now. But I don't know, in my opinion, I think the warrior one looks very cool.
I think it looks fantastic. I mean, what more could you want? Battling up with the gods. That's exactly what warriors want. You remember the old Berserker quest back in Vanilla, where you kind of had to go to an island with 2 huts on it, and that was your special little quest.
And people were wanting that to be the warrior class hall, which is hilarious.
That'd be brilliant. I would love that. I hope they tie into that. That would be cool if some of the NPCs just appear and maybe there's some dialogue in the background about that little island. That would be really funny. But other than that, it looks absolutely brilliant. I don't see how you could be unsatisfied with that at all.
I don't actually see it here in this link, but I found the video here. The monk class hall is actually very cool. Kind of surprised me, but it's in the it's on the Wandering Isle. Excuse me. You get basically the entire turtle as your class hall. I'll play that for you guys. Here it is.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Here that is. It's very monkish, very Pandaren themed. It's kind of cool to see that aesthetic back in Legion, even if it is only for a class hall. I was always a big fan of the Mists of Pandaria aesthetic in general. That was done really well. So it's a cool class hall.
The Shaman one, I didn't realise this, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but it's actually in... Oh, where's the final encounter with Deathwing happen?
The Maelstrom. Yes.
The Maelstrom. It's actually in the Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realise that. And
the Shaman one looks really cool too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's still in development, so it looks a bit vanilla, shall we say. But still, I mean, that's what a view. It'd be a bit annoying if Deathwing just pops up again.
I am Deathwing.
Yeah, you might get a little bit psyched, but
hey, I see the shamans have a portal. I mean, that's weird. There's a portal in the shaman one, but none in the mage.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a touching point, I think.
But yeah, they definitely have quite the view, looking out over the Maelstrom.
They literally have their own sort of jacuzzi going on.
Just go take a dip, end up in deep home.
No, you can't complain. That'd be fantastic.
I mean, overall, though, it does seem like each of the class halls, from what you can see by looking at all of them, they do really, in one way or another, they capture the aesthetic of the class that you're playing. I mean, the Warlock one is very Warlockish. The Death Knight one, I mean, it is perfect. I mean, it's been the Death Knight home since Death Knights were released, so it makes sense. Just kind of hoping for Ice Crown Citadel, but I can give up on that dream. It's okay.
ICC would have been such a better class hall.
It would have been. But they've already done a ton of adjustments to ICC, which we covered last week, just for that weapon quest line. So, which I guess we can briefly talk about. A lot of the dialogues have been released for the weapons. And you can go listen to a lot of the quest line dialogue for each artifact weapon, but warned now, you will have things spoiled for you. Major plot points, which I'm already disappointed that I listened to a couple of them. I will not continue to listen because things have been ruined. But
Yeah,
let's
I will
just say,
warn listeners. Yeah.
let's just say Anduin Rin gets covered in cotton candy. And stuffed animals.
What does that mean?
And he just gets thrown pillows to him, and it is just an atrocity that the Legion does to him. So, if you want,
Damn you,
the
Sargeras!
spoilers, Sargeras throwing pillows, it's awful.
I'm just thinking, can you imagine if they included that bit in the actual cinematics?
Just pillows flying at Varian as he's jumping off the ship.
Yeah. That's what brought it down.
Pillows.
So, pillows.
Well, I'm sure that's
It
how
would
the raid fight
tie
will
off
be.
the Windrunner sister story arc quite neatly. It will just come to
Valeria
a
has been
point.
gone in Outland for many years, chasing, having just pillow fights. That's where she's been.
And thus, a new chapter in fanfiction was born. The Doompillow.
All right. Anything else on class halls or Doom pillows before we move on? That is the name of this episode, by the way. Is Doom pillows.
That's great.
Great episode 60.
So I think, even though I'm not a big fan of the Warlocks, I feel like rogues are going to be the least happy with theirs.
Oh yes. Unfortunately, rogues are being put to the Dalaran sewers.
My thought is, it looks like the Undercity. It looks like navigating the Undercity, and no one likes that place.
It's true.
Rehash.
So rogues and DKs get some rehash content, and everyone else gets something new. What gives? What gives, please?
I think
Riot.
they must.
Rogues
they'll
and
have to
DKs
change
don't
it.
play Legion.
Yeah. Just get the same old. But I can imagine that is, slightly disappointing because, as you said, Big Voodoo, it's everyone else seems to be getting new, fresh content. And, even mages are getting, they're getting a new perception on Dalaran, but anyone can go. Everyone's been here is what I'm trying to say. It's not unique to them as much. So, I guess it does feel a bit bland. Saying that, we might not care. I mean, the question is as well, how much time are we actually going to spend in these?
That's true. We don't know if it's going to be like our garrison, if that is where like 98% of our playtime is just sitting there and doing Facebook games, or if we're just going to hop in, get our quest for the day, and leave. Which I'd be much more happy with, and I'm sure a lot of the player base would be as well.
I feel like
rogues
the
might
class
have
hall. I feel like the class hall should be kind of like what capital cities were in vanilla.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you don't spend a whole lot of time there, but it's like the social area of the game.
But I don't think they should put like an auction house or bank there either. I think that should still be reserved for Dalaran.
So do you think, Big Voodoo, are you suggesting that class order halls become almost like all the warrior players, for example, meet in the same class order hall? I know it's not really... It could fit into the lore, because you could still imagine that you were the top warrior and kind of all the other players are beneath you, which is pretty much the mentality of most
Players anyway, yeah.
So, but it's, that could be an interesting idea. Perhaps all the rogues meet in, and so it's kind of the rogues all mixing up, and if they want to go out, like you said, Tarley, and do auction house, they can go into Dalaran proper and do all their bits and pieces there. But that'd be kind of cool, I think, to have that option to share your class order hall and maybe make it feel a little bit more alive. Because the other question is, can we share class order halls? Like, how you can invite other people to your garrison? What happens if, I get summoned to the warlock?
I don't think that can
I
happen.
think it
I don't
works.
think they will
Obviously
let
can't.
other classes go to different class halls. Real quick, answer a question from RageMan42 in the chat. How long till WoW goes under in a big way? It's already gone down, but ... That's really tough to say. I mean, Legion could do really well. I think World of Warcraft legitimately has one bad expansion away from really, really going down. If they repeat the mistakes of Warlords, I don't think it'll last much longer, but Blizzard has the potential to keep just upping the subscribers with new expansions, having them go down, and to keep them going up. They could continue that, what they've been doing the last few years, they could continue that indefinitely, honestly. I mean, it's really hard to say how long World of Warcraft could really go, and Blizzard has said they would support the game if there were 2 players playing, so I think it's ultimately up to Blizzard until WoW actually goes under in a big way. What do you guys think? Voodoo, go ahead. You look like you have something to say.
The thing is, like, WoW's not going to go under unless people have something to replace it with.
Yeah.
Like, so there would have to be an amazing MMO come out, and doing that's so difficult because you have WoW already that has so much established content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, WildStar was a great idea, and they got a lot of the endgame stuff right, but you were still starting at, a little bit of content compared to WoW, which, had just as much as WildStar did in its vanilla stage. And then on top of that, they're already, 4 expansions in.
5?
5 expansions in now? Sorry, bad math. But I don't see it happening. Like, you would have to have a developer put a huge amount of work into a game before they even release it.
Mm-hmm.
For it to really overcome WoW, and without something to overcome WoW, people will still play WoW.
Wow! What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
I almost called you Big Britzza, and that's like, wait, I'm mixing names up here.
I like it. New name change. I guess picking up from what Big Voodoo said, people will, you're right, keep playing WoW until something big comes along. Arguably, something bigger has come along. Guild Wars 2 potentially does have more subscribers than us, so that is the bigger game. The question is, does Guild Wars 2 offer something that WoW players want? And I think no. I think WoW players love the lore, they love where they're going, they're getting a huge injection of lore fandom.
Plus there's a movie coming out.
Exactly. So I think next year is pretty much a safe bet for WoW. It's not going to be going anywhere. But Tarley, you had a good point that, you can't have another Warlords really. And I guess the problem is, I think if they have a worst case scenario and they, Legion doesn't do as well, or maybe it's a bit mediocre going forward, it will be a case of not whether WoW keeps going, but what it looks like going forwards. What happens when it tries to change and adapt, because it will just have to radically change and adapt. The developers will not give up. They will change the game dynamics entirely before it dies.
I mean, I guess all of us players have to face the fact that WoW will die one day. It'll slowly begin with server mergers. I mean, which has already happened, but just servers will start getting shut down, and one by one, it'll all be merged together until it's one server with 10 people playing, and it's one raid team, and there's still like Brian Holinka on stage at BlizzCon, like, yeah, who's excited for the arena tournament? Yay! But
well, in any case, it's going to die, or we're going to die. One of them cannot keep going on forever. So, regardless, WoW will come to an end.
60 years down the road, we're all still playing level 510, just...
working on our 17th artifact tiers. It's possible. But, I think, WoW's still got a good amount of life still in it, and you've got to remember now it's interdependent with all the other franchises, so there might be a possibility that WoW might go through a quiet few years, and then people who have been playing Hearthstone and Heroes think, actually no, I'd love to jump back into WoW, and then it will pop back up. So we've always talked about that, a couple of 100,000 players to keep it just ticking on. I think as long as it's got that, it won't budge, potentially.
Alright, so we did go off tangent on that topic, that question there. Hopefully that was sufficient enough for your rage, man.
Otherwise, it might be dead next week.
Right. Never know.
So, next week or maybe next year, who knows.
Alright, jumping into some other bit of news that isn't exactly World of Warcraft related. The Heroes of the Storm Towers of Doom, the new map, has officially released. And let me tell you, it is rather different. And it is large. And it gets me killed.
You need to explain that.
So the way it works, I mean, I think Voodoo would probably be able to explain it a bit better than me, actually. Voodoo, why don't you explain exactly how Towers of Doom works?
I think I've attempted this before, but I'll give it another shot.
Alright.
So you still have your 6 forts on either side, but you are unable to attack your opponent's core directly. Instead, what you do is you take a shrine, and that shrine will launch volleys towards the enemy core.
And there's
For however
potentially,
many
what, 8
forts you
shrines, right? 8 or 6?
I think it's
6 shrines.
Yeah.
6 shrines, yeah.
Oh, sorry, there's 4 altars and 6 sort of shrine towers.
Right.
Oh, okay. So 4 all. Yeah. At any rate, you take an altar, that altar shoots the enemy core for however many towers you have remaining.
It's a bit confusing.
If you
yes.
take one of the enemy towers, it becomes yours. It's essentially a big game of tug of war.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of changes the dynamic of the gameplay a bit, because you're just constantly trying to take these different towers and keep yours protected at the same time, instead of just pushing towards one goal. So it's a bit different, and the map is really big too. Like, it's, at least from what I see, it seems like it's a bit larger than any of the other maps in the game.
Potentially, yeah, it does feel a bit bigger at times. I think it's because it kind of goes up rather than across that way.
Yeah. And of course, the Headless Horseman is there as well.
This is true. I think it must be larger because, like, halfway through the match, they open up a portal from your core to, like, the dead center of the map. And I don't think that Blizzard would do that unless it is such a large map.
Which can totally mess with you, by the way, because it's the same entrance or the same exit for both teams, so you could all be porting in at the same time. Causes chaos, especially if there's 2 Cho'Galls playing.
Oh, I've done that. It's awful. But you're right, Tarley. It is a really odd shift in the type of play, because I've only played it once. But the thing that you find, especially when you're not playing ranked play, is that people are happy to go and bash other enemy heroes and take over towers, but actually coordinating defense and capturing at the same time.
Oh, even in
really
ranked play. Even in ranked play.
Well, that's good to know going forward. Got that fun to look forward to. But you really have to make sure you're talking to your team. You can't be one of these teams that doesn't chat, or at least, type chat and things like that. Yeah. You have to say, right, we're going to push for this altar, or we're going to capture this tower. Otherwise, it does fall apart. And it did a couple of times when I was playing it. But saying that, it's really fun. It really is strategic, and you can really sort of have a really decisive win in a few minutes, or it could be going for absolutely ages. So really, it's actually really great fun.
And I'm still quite looking forward to the new arena mode to come out for Heroes of the Storm. I think that will be very entertaining. If you've ever played League of Legends and played the ARAM mode, it should be very much like that, and I think that will be equally entertaining.
I'm excited to see how, like, the meta shifts with this new map. I feel like there's a lot of kind of second-tier heroes that could definitely be, like, first-tier picks on that map, too. Like, Gazlowe. No one uses Gazlowe in, like, high-end play. But when taking towers is such a big deal, he becomes pretty good.
Indeed. Anything else on Heroes of the Storm before we move into our discussion topic of the week?
Probably looking at the Headless Horseman mount on the store for Heroes is the closest I'll ever get to actually owning a Horseman mount before I die. So, if anyone's in the same boat as me, it might be a good idea to buy it. Tarley, you've got it.
Yep, I finally got mine.
Are you still enjoying that?
Yep, still, and it goes perfect with my Warlock, Green Fire, so the Headless Horseman mount is perfect.
I only got the pumpkin head.
Voodoo is just smiling because he's had his for years.
I have.
Oh, just me.
It kind of bummed me out when Tarley got his, because it was the one mount that I had over him.
I still get to hold Ashes of Valar over everybody, so.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. It is an absolute nightmare.
Indeed. All right, moving on. It's time for the discussion of the week.
Borundag's Kirali cut through a gnome. What's a Drenna anyhow? Can I drink it?
Discussion of the week.
That's right, it's time for discussion of the week, and this week we're going to be discussing things.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Now, this week we are going to be talking about the story of Legion. What, who, where, when, why, how, what?
Who?
So, Britzza, why don't you lead us in to this discussion topic, and we will start discussing the topic.
Of course, and I would do my utmost best. The audios that Tarley mentioned earlier, I have actually listened to. So there are things that I learnt that I wish I could have unlearnt.
You must
Let me say-
unlearn what you have learned.
I'll tell you what, the DK artifact, I won't say what it is, but the artifact questline gets, honestly, you're going to have a fan explosion going off in your head. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But
So
yeah,
we meet the Lich King. That's what you're telling me.
yes.
We already knew that from the previous episode.
Arthas is your new bodyguard. That's how it's going forward.
Oh, okay. Does he throw pillows as well?
He has frost pillow.
Oh, awesome.
That's the weapon you work on when you get to level 100 or 210. Sorry,
Frost
Get
pillow.
confused. Anyways, so we wanted to talk about the story of Legion. Obviously, a lot of people have talked about what we're doing. Obviously, Illidan seems to be the central point, and that's tied into it. How we're going to get to Illidan through Gul'dan and whatnot. So I thought we'd just discuss what our thoughts are and how the story's been set up so far, and where we potentially see it going. Because obviously, this has to lead to another expansion, and we probably want to talk about how that expansion may look, or at least where this one's going to leave us. So first and foremost, as the cinematic set out quite clearly, we are taking the fight to the Burning Legion, we are invading the Broken Isles, we are scuffing it up big time. Varian's crashed our ship for the Alliance, so it's all gone a bit south.
Good job, Varian. Good job.
Yep. You keep doing that. And yeah, so effectively we've got the first landing mission, and that's the 20-man team
Scenario.
that goes on, where things may happen. I know Tarley knows things that may happen in the course, things that might happen to various characters, but you get through that, and then you're effectively let loose on the zones. And I guess
Not necessarily. That
Well.
the scenario is in the pre-patch. So you finish that, and then you kind of sit there staring
And then
off
you
into the Broken Isles. I want to
from a
go there.
distance, longingly, writing poems and things, because I presume that's what Varian was doing when he was in the Skybreaker, just writing his poetry. And so
Looking
yeah,
at
guys,
pictures of his son.
how do you feel from the cinematic? We've got it there. We look like we've absolutely messed this invasion up big time. And the scenario seems to suggest that it's going to be a real tough, tense alliance between the Alliance and the Horde.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that throughout Legion, we're ever going to see the Horde and the Alliance break down into an all-out conflict? Because obviously the PvP has to fit in somewhere, but there's no confirmed PvP zones, or battlegrounds, sorry. So do you think that will form an aspect of the story?
From what I've seen, it almost. I think the alliance between the Alliance and Horde is actually going to stay intact for this entire expansion. It almost has to, at least for the extent of the invasion, and that could be why there's no, at least from a lore perspective, why there's no new arena or no new battleground. Could be because they're not actually, there's no conflict between the two sides. And for the last few expansions, they've gone on about this is the biggest conflict between the Horde and Alliance, and they've been saying that since Cataclysm. So maybe they're actually stepping away from that and saying we're actually working together for real this time, hence starting with that scenario. But a prediction of mine, at least for Legion, is we're going to see a major story arc twist halfway through the expansion. I think the whole Burning Legion invasion is only going to last the first half, and then we're going to see something totally different. So we're killing Gul'dan, for example, in the first raid tier, so we could potentially see a major story shift. But anyway,
I see what you mean. Big Voodoo, what do you think in terms of the Horde Alliance, and also whether there might be a twist?
I definitely feel like this is much more of a cooperative expansion. Like, that's kind of the feel they're going for. It's more about your class and the story than it is about, Horde and Alliance now. As far as a big story shift halfway through, I could kind of see it, at least like the last raid tier. I could definitely see that.
like what we
having a
saw
big
with
story twist.
Miss of Pandaria, with Garrosh suddenly becoming the main villain.
Yeah. Or, even with Warlords, they kind of did that. Yeah, you're still fighting orcs, but it goes from fighting the Iron Horde to
The Legion.
the Legion, and it was kind of their segue into this expansion, and I can see them using that again. Definitely. The question for me then becomes, what do they shift the story to? The Legion's like the biggest threat to Azeroth that we've ever seen.
Not the biggest. There's one other threat that could be lurking, and my prediction is it is going to turn towards the old gods and Queen Ashara.
Interesting, but this is the thing. The story that's going on with Legion is almost a bit of a cluster of all these big bad bosses. I mean, it's not just the Legion. You've got Queen Ashara there. The Naga are invading one of the zones. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. So they're kind of there. But like you say, that could be like a little token to drag people into the Naga storyline. Maybe, I can't remember the name of the old god that's still...
Nazath.
Nazath. So yeah, it could potentially go that way. But would that... I guess how do you sell the Naga as a bigger threat than the Legion? Because he's got to raise the stakes, presumably, hasn't it, at some point?
So, Sagat... what is the big bad? Sargeras? Yeah.
Sargeras, yeah.
He needs to pop out, and then Queen Ashara needs to beat him with pillows, and then she will be the ruler of Azeroth. No, that wasn't a serious idea at all. I don't actually know how it could potentially lead in. I guess I got that idea because there's hinting of Queen Ashara, and there are a little bit of Naga, so I could see it doing a total turnaround and making them the focus.
But Ashara is tied straight into, the Legion, too.
Right.
She has
ties to both. She has ties to the old gods and the Legion.
I guess one of the things, if I just sort of glimpse through some of the other story aspects, naturally we're here because of these pillars of creation, these Titan artifacts that are going to help us close this portal. So we assume at some point we're going to close the portal. Whether we have to do an old sort of Lothar and charge in and close it behind us, which seems a bit old now because that's kind of what we did for Warlords, and that kind of didn't go well. So hopefully we don't end up running through to the Twisting Nether and spend another expansion there. But the presumption is we'll get hold of these bit by bit and then eventually close the portal by the end of it. But in the meantime, we've got all these other aspects. We've got the Naga invading, trying to get a peace. Jaina's pissed.
Yeah, she has been for a little bit.
Yeah, she's still doing her thing, and it seems like she is going to be a little bit more active in the story than perhaps the devs made out when they announced it at Gamescom.
Maybe she'll just crash Dalaran into the portal. So
that will do it. That will do it quite well. But so we're going to go around collecting all these artifacts, and we're going to close this portal. What about the Titans as the potential next adversary? I mean, what happened? Because you remember, all the old, Ulduar raids, and you'd have things like, I remember one of the bosses, you have to fight him, and he sort of scans Azeroth, and he's going to blow it up if he finds any essence of corruption. And every time you meet the Titans, they always scan you and scan Azeroth, and they're like, it's like Microsoft Sam going on a rampage. And I just wonder whether eventually the Titans are going to say, this planet's messed up, it's causing more hassle than it's worth. Let's just
a Titan invasion kind of a thing?
A Titan invasion, yeah. Or maybe,
we go to the Titan world. But
we've got to go to the Titans.
It's kind of the same question as as fighting Sargeras or fighting Nazath. Are Titans almost too big for us mortals to even fight? Are they too big of an enemy? Really?
Well, no one's actually hurt. No one's ever actually caused any damage at all to Sargeras.
Right.
In lore, apart from Broxigar, who basically went on a rampage, killed something like 10,000 demons. That's how powerful he was, and he caused a chink in Sargeras' armor, and that cost his life. So that's a sign of what we're up against. Can you actually kill him? The answer is no, really. So again, that just says a lot because we fought Sargeras in the Sunwell. So, there's a question about whether they were just going to get another repeat of that, or... I mean, what do you guys think that we're actually going to have a decisive victory over the Legion by the end of this expansion? Enough to at least say the Legion aren't going to be in the background for probably another 2 or 3 expansions.
I kind of hope so, because Legion have been preluded since Mists of Pandaria, this invasion, and we've had a lot of Legion in Warlords of Draenor. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of Legion in Legion, so hopefully that's not going to continue on to the next expansion. We've seen a lot of green fire for a bit.
I would agree with that. I feel like as odd as it is to say, the Old Gods does seem like the most probable next expansion. Like, Titans, not likely. Old Gods, they could make an expansion out of that. I could see it done, but, like, I feel like Blizzard is to the point where they're gonna have to just start rehashing stories, or come up with entirely new lore.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. It seems like the first time in a long time that we really don't know where the story could go after this. I mean, a lot of things have been predicted before. Like, everyone knew like a Burning Legion invasion was coming. Like, that's been hinted at for a long time. You know, a Deathwing coming was hinted. Pandas were known that was going to be a thing. Of course, everybody knew we were going to take on Arthas. So, I mean, we really have no clue what could be coming next. I mean, Warlords of Draenor was kind of threw people off, so they could do something completely like that, where it's just like go to another world, fight things you've never seen before. Who knows? But this conversation really did change into the next expansion rather than talking about Legion's storyline.
So I guess bring it back to the story. It talks about where the story can take us. How do you feel about the setup for the invasion? And in particular, I want to draw attention to the characters. Not lingering too much on who's there and who isn't. But it seems our main players are going to be, when my PC has found them, we've got Maev, first and foremost. And Maev's actually one that I wanted to bring up in particular.
I think we're losing you a bit there. Britzza, come back.
I'll try and come back. Hopefully that's...
Oh, you're back. Welcome.
I'm back. I'm not loading the page anymore, so I'm not going to respect it. But Maev's one of perhaps going to be one of the most pivotal characters, because she's going to go on this hunt again for Illidan. And I'm interested to know what you guys think her story is going to be, because Maev, whether you've played her in Warcraft 3 or whether you saw her in Burning Crusade, is a bit of a one-tune drum. You know, she wants to hunt Illidan, and she literally does nothing but hunt Illidan. And then that comes down to the climax at the end when she captures Illidan or beats him with our help. Admittedly, she doesn't do a lot. And then she says, you know, without the hunted, what is the hunter, and that sort of thing. So I wonder whether they're going to try and delve into her dilemma. She's now got that prey to hunt. She's going to go full after Illidan, but at the same time, she's got to undergo a change. I don't want to repeat of Burning Legion and Warcraft 3. So where do you think she's going to go in particular? Do you think she'll find some sort of salvation, or...
I'm expecting some kind of... She'll catch up with Illidan again and then actually join his cause. Ooh. I don't think Illidan is actually as big bad as they're preluding. I think Illidan's going to be a good character, and therefore I think Maeve will follow the same path.
You know, I wonder how that'll actually play out, because there's got to be a reason Gul'dan's freeing him. Right. And I know he's been, you know, against the Legion pretty much this entire time, but by the same merit, I mean, him and all demon hunters are infused with fel energies, so what if Gul'dan is trying to corrupt Illidan? Like, maybe Illidan's our second raid tier at this point. Like, super demon Illidan. And
Green Fire Crown Citadel?
Yes.
I see a pattern forming.
That's a very good point, though.
Well, it brings up the question of this expansion, which is Illidan on our side or not? And I think we won't know until we start it. But you're right. I think that's a really good point, Big Video. There must have been a conversation going on. Probably a very weird one, because Illidan has the skull of our Gul'dan in him. And he's speaking to Gul'dan. So, yeah, it was tasty, like candy. But, yeah, you have to wonder, what is this conversation? The Demon Hunter scenario is a prequel, effectively.
Half of it
goes in. Yeah, and it goes into how Illidan actually had a plan, and he was actually kind of a good guy. But now, actually, we don't know where that's going to put him. So, yeah, you're right. I think Illidan's not going to certainly be a good guy from the start. Otherwise, Gul'dan's messed it up again. I don't think you get a third chance with the Burning Legion.
Or maybe Gul'dan's skull is Gul'dan's real objective, not Illidan himself.
Gul'dan's after the world.
Whoa! Mind blown there a little bit.
I see what you mean.
I think you just cracked the case.
It is a useful item. I feel like this is one of those things where, like, if he touched it, Gul'dan would just be kind of sucked into this little black hole in the middle of nowhere, and the universe would just implode with him. But
that is
yeah,
a
no,
very
you're
good
right.
point. Like, his own skull could have, it could potentially actually have some kind of power or something that he wants. That is a very good point, and I am convinced Gul'dan's after his own skull.
Well, that's where the prior... Because we're going back to the Tomb of Sargeras, and that was... I'm trying to remember my Warcraft 3 lore, but that's where Gul'dan was killed, because he kind of got trapped in there.
Yeah.
So, presumably Gul'dan's gone to the place that the other Gul'dan died, and that's a bit Inception-y to begin with, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility that he could try and get... Yeah, this is... this is what happens when you start coming up with random dimensions and then smashing them together. But...
Well, since we know Blizzard listens to the show, that will be implemented then. If we see that in the final outcome of the story, we will know it's because of Big Voodoo.
I'd be good with that. Yeah.
What do you guys think about the rest of the roster, though?
I think Sylvanas is going to be a very interesting character once she realizes her second sister is still indeed alive. I think all the Windrunners will play a very important role in the story. Not sure what that role will be, but the fact that Ilaria is alive and Sylvanas is playing a major... I would have to guess that Sylvanas is now temporary leader of the Horde because Vol'jin is been captured, or he's missing, or he's MIA. So we got Sylvanas leading the Horde, is what it looks like in the cinematic, and then she's going to meet her sister, and things are going to go crazy.
But have either of you read War Crimes?
Yes.
If I'm right, Tarley, doesn't something happen between
Varisa? Yes.
Varisa and her? They have a misunderstanding, shall we say?
She wanted Varisa to help her assassinate Garrosh during the trial. Varisa changed her mind at the last second, saying it was immoral. They needed to let the trial continue, and then Sylvanas and Varisa had one of those sisterly fights, and now they're not talking.
The old pillow fight of Doom.
Right. The pillow fight of Doom with Frost Pillow and Shadow Pillow. Doompillow.
Artifact weapons confirmed.
So all those pillows were being tossed, and they're no longer speaking to each other. But again, I think the third Windrunner will definitely play a role in bringing them all together again to be one happy family.
I'm kind of half undead family.
Right. I think it could make Sylvanas question her allegiances, basically.
Which is what they're suggesting in her bio. Like, how far would she... She's obviously... They talk about her trying to save her own soul and whether she'll, put her people first. And, part of that will probably be her sisters as well. I think a lot of the times the undead storyline is naturally conflicted with all the other races, i.e. them surviving has been a bit of a thorn in the paw of everyone else, especially when they've been gassing them at the Wrathgate. That didn't go down well.
What do you think, Voodoo? Are any of the characters in the roster that you see here, I guess, catching your eye for a big story? Other than, Gul'dan looking for a skull, that's kind of a big plot that you kind of maybe uncovered, maybe.
I find it interesting that Jen Greyman's listed, actually. Like, he's always been kind of a cool character, but we haven't really heard much from him besides, hey, I'm in the Worgen starting zone. But seeing him take a larger role in maybe the Alliance, or at least the story, and his dynamic against Sylvanas, because, well, yeah, they're probably not good friends at this point.
Killing his son might be a bit of a touchy point, to be honest.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I think his dynamic, especially with Sylvanas, could be a very interesting story arc.
Now that you bring that up, the story arc could go a way of, we're working together, but tensions between the Horde and Alliance could get so bad that either the second half of the expansion, or even the next expansion entirely, would be completely devoted to a Horde-Alliance conflict. Because when you think about it, that is the central story of Warcraft and always has been, Orcs versus Humans.
Yeah, but it's never played out well in, the
It hasn't,
MMO.
but they could somehow do it so it could. I mean, I don't know how they would do it, like a raid versus each other. I don't know how it would work, but it could potentially be interesting if they actually made a very good Horde-Alliance conflict expansion.
It would be the best time to do it.
Siege of
after this
Stormwind
expansion.
I mean, come on. Everyone wants that raid.
It would be interesting. I think, going back to the old orcs versus humans dynamic would be great.
I mean, there is a very major storyline that I have uncovered for myself, and I don't recommend you all looking into, but it could potentially lead to more conflict between the Horde and Alliance as well. Which I'll get your guys' opinion on this idea after the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to run anything by Blizzard.
Right. I mean, it's such major spoilers, I don't want to ruin it for our listeners, so...
Was there sort of anything else, any other aspects of the story you guys wanted to discuss? Or anything that stands out?
We just don't know enough right now. And I think Blizzard's done a great job of actually keeping things under wraps this time. I mean, yes, things have been leaked, but still, we only know, like, the first bit of the expansion, what's going to happen. We still have no idea where it's going, and I think that's good. I think that's actually pretty good. They haven't said who the final boss of the expansion is like they did the last 2 expansions in a row, so could be good.
And there's a lot going on. I think, we've got the Emerald Nightmare, we've got the Naga. There's certainly a lot of directions they could take it after this, so there's a lot of life still going.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to worry about.
You got anything else to say on the story of Legion Big Voodoo?
I just want to know what happens.
Yeah.
The suspense is killing me a little bit.
I want to read the end!
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us into the final segment of the show. It is time for the Hero's Call. There's the sounder. Forget it. Oh, there it is. Yep. Hero's Call. There's the sounder. All right. This is where we give any shout-outs to anyone we'd like to. This week, I'd like to give a shout-out to Occupio. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. And Rogueman42. Thank you for the questions in chat. Much appreciated. We went on quite a tangent there for Rogueman. Question about the death of WoW. Thank you for that. What about you, Britzza? Any shout-outs this week?
No one in particular. Shout-outs to the usual lot, listeners and whatnot. I won't steal anyone else's shout-outs, though.
What about you, Voodoo?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Got nothing. Well, shout out to Zool. Shout out to Zool, our long-lost compadre. He is listening to the show every week, and he is still expected to make his return. It will be awesome when he does. Well, it'll be cool to see Zool meet Voodoo. See, what if they hate each other? Oh, no!
Doompillow!
Doompillow.
All right, and with that, it's time to end the show. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. As always, you can check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also catch us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth, and you can find me personally at Tarley_pause. Our long-lost brother Zool is at ZoolGeek. Where can we find you, Britzza?
You can find me at Britzza_EG.
And Voodoo, what about you?
At B1GV00D00.
Elite Speak Big Voodoo.
Elite Speak Big Voodoo.
Vig Voodoo.
Big Voodoo.
Vig Voodoo.
Big baby.
And you can always contact us with your questions, your fan mail, your actual pronunciation of Big Voodoo's name. Send all of that to Geeks of Azeroth, eg@gmail.com. And definitely check out epicgeeks.co.uk for all the other shows that we produce. We've got a big one about that other game, that other MMO that nobody plays, WildStar. Actually, a lot of people still play that game. And if you're new to it, definitely check out Geeks of Nexus. A great show, lots of educational material. It's a pretty fun game to check out anyway. It just went free to play. But in the meantime, we'll see you here next time. I'm losing what I'm saying, losing track. Somebody else do the closing.
Go on, Big Voodoo.
I do it every week.
Trial by fire. And yeah, we'll be back the same time next week. Until then, have a great time. Woohoo! Thanks for tuning in.
This podcast is part of the Epic Geeks Network. To find out more about our other gaming podcasts, head to epicgeeks.co.uk.